Taino Stories brings you the next chapter in the history of the Taino chiefs of Puerto Rico. In the region of Cabo Rojo, the local chief was Yukibo, whose name meant Lord of the Yucca. San German was home to the chiefdom of Guama. Back then, San German was known as Guama, and its chief was Huame. In another part of San German, there was the chiefdom of Hoconuco, led by a chief who carried the same name. In that region, the main chiefdom was called Guaniquilla, a Taino word meaning land of gold. Along the coast were villages tied to fishing and to gathering gold from the rivers. The areas of Las Marias and Maricao once formed a single territory. There was a great chiefdom known as Bucarabon, led by a chief who bore the same name. In Mayagüez, there was a vast chiefdom divided into three parts. Along the coast ruled Chief Caricaboa, with his chiefdom of the same name. In the inland region of Mayagüez lay the great chiefdom of Cauyo, ruled by Chief Cauyo. Near the Yaguez River was the chiefdom of Dague, led by Chief Dague. In San Sebastian was the chiefdom of Coalibina, which stretched across much of the region. Its leader was Chief Coalibina. Caciques was settled along the banks of the Culebrinas River, under the rule of a chief who carried the same name. The chiefdom of Guachio was located in the San Sebastian region, along the banks of the Guachio River. The local chief was Guazio, whose name meant brave warrior, and he was a subordinate to the regional leader, Guarionex. Aguadilla, Aguada, and Rincon belonged to the same chiefdom under the powerful chief Guarionex, a different Guarionex from the one in the Dominican Republic. In the area of Aguada and Aguadilla, the chief was known as Corriguex. The local chief of Aguada and Aguadilla was Corriguex, since Guarionex governed the entire western region of Puerto Rico. In the lands of Añasco and Mayagüez stood the chiefdom of Yagueca. In western Puerto Rico, the chief was Urayoan, whose territory stretched between the Guaorabo River, known today as the Rio Grande de Añasco, and the Yaguez River. It was from there that the action against Diego Salcedo was set in motion, an event that preceded the uprising of 1511. In the town of Moca, there was a great chiefdom of the same name, ruled by Chief Mayagoex. In the town of Añasco, several important chiefdoms once thrived. The Rio Grande de Añasco was known as Caciques. The chiefdom of Añasco was called Caguabo, and it was ruled by Chief Caguabo. Within Añasco, there was also the village of Caricaboa, led by a chief who carried the same name. In Añasco, there was also a chiefdom called Dague, ruled by Chief Dague. The principal chief of this region was Urayoan, remembered for ordering the test of the Spaniards' mortality. He ordered the elimination of the Spanish soldier Diego Salcedo at the Guaorabo River. It was both a chiefdom and a river in Añasco, led by a chief who shared its name. When they saw that the Spaniard died like any other man, the Tainos confirmed that the invaders were not gods, as they had claimed to the natives. This realization sparked the 1511 rebellion against the colonizers. In the town of Rincon, there is mention of a coastal village known as Barrero. The name of its chief wasn't preserved, nor the village's original name, since Barrero was a Spanish designation for the area, given because the land was made of clay. Isabela and Quebradillas were once a single territory known as Guayataca, home to a great chiefdom ruled by Chief Guayataca, who in turn answered to the regional leader Aramana. In Hormigueros, the name of the local chief was not preserved, but the chiefdom was known as Guanajibo. Guanajibo was the name of a large bird, about the size of a turkey, which the Tainos raised for food. This particular area was dedicated to raising that bird. In the town of Maricao, there was a documented chiefdom called Mariaco, which later gave the town its name. The towns of Ay Bonito and Barranquitas were once a single territory, named after the great chiefdom of Jatibonuco or Hatibonuco, which means white cloud or land of the clouds, a reference to the high elevation, the cool mountain climate, and the chief who ruled the area. In the region of Utuado, there was a great chiefdom called Otoao, set among the mountains, which also extended into what is now Lares. The principal chief of this territory was Guaraca. Within Otoao were other important villages and territories, including Caguana, which served as one of the principal ceremonial centers of Boricain, and Bibi, a chiefdom linked to a nearby river. The names of the chiefs of Caguana and Bibi were not preserved, but both were under the authority of Chief Guaraca. In the region of Jayuya, the principal chief was Hayuya, and his chiefdom was known as Coabe, a Taino name meaning land of the dead, tied to its deep spiritual significance. Soon, we'll release a video explaining the meaning and history of Coabe. Within his territory was the village of Kopi, though the name of its chief was not preserved in the chronicles. The name Jayuya comes from Chief Hayuya, and it translates as place of guavas, reflecting the abundance of this fruit in Boricain's central mountains. The name of the chief of the Hayuya chiefdom was not preserved. The town of Villalba belonged to the chiefdom of Jacaguas, near the Jacaguas River. There was also a great chiefdom in the area of Toavaca, known as Toabao, ruled by Chief Toabao himself. From this name, the place later came to be called Toavaca. The name changed after cattle was introduced for the first time to the island, and a ranch was established there by Spaniards. The same Tainos worked enslaved in the ranch, changed the name from Toabao to Toavaca. Because of the animal, cow is vaca in Spanish. Follow us to watch part 6 of the Chiefs of Puerto Rico from the series The Taino Empire of Puerto Rico, because the Taino people are still here and we carry our memory with us.